This video is actually going to be a little different than some previous videos I've made. As I've said, I like to wait until all the facts come in and I can make an accurate discernment of what may have happened. And this video, I'm not on the cop side. Not on the criminal side either, because you shouldn't be trying to get away from a traffic stop. However, the female police officer, essentially what I want to point out is Daunte. I think that's Daunte or Daunte. I'm really not trying to pronounce it incorrectly. I think it's Daunte, but it might be Daunte. It's not Dante, or at least I don't think it is. Daunte Wright, who I'm going to refer to as Wright throughout this video because I can't pronounce his first name properly. What happened to him is he was killed by feminism and affirmative action. Why do I say that? Okay, I've done mind-numbingly large amounts of private security in my life, and I've worked with police too much. I've also been accosted by police too much, especially as a homeless person. So, why am I saying that this dude was killed by feminism and affirmative action? Okay. Affirmative action has caused the lowering of standards of police forces to get enough women and minorities on the police forces. This is the truth. What this does is this causes people that have no business being police on the police forces. Number one, that's how affirmative action played the role. This woman had no place on the police force whatsoever. Okay? Number two, feminism. How did feminism play a role? Look, there is a place for women in law enforcement, which used to be dealing with children, okay? Dealing with, and this is my opinion, having had so many whacked out dealings with children and youth, both as a child and dealing with a family member of mine that was virtually abducted from her father by children and youth, okay, and basically children and youth is psychotic and crazy. Again, feminism and affirmative action have destroyed it, but I believe that the children and youth is more of a police matter like it used to be. And women on police forces used to deal with juveniles, used to deal with questioning female victims of domestic violence and rapes and things of that nature. They weren't running around with guns like lunatics, okay? Now, why am I saying, well, I didn't say it yet, but women do not belong carrying guns as police officers. Women do not belong arresting people as police officers. Women do not belong on the streets as police officers. Women certainly don't belong pretending to be prostitutes, trying to entrap people and putting themselves at risk, as they do sometimes in these sting operations nowadays. So women belong on the police force to do the things that women did do on the police force. Dispatch, handling children and juveniles, and also handling domestic violence issues and rape issues and things like that, special victims type stuff. And I don't see why there would be anything that would keep a woman from being a detective, an investigative detective or something like that. But they do not belong, except for the gun thing. That's now, I'm not saying women shouldn't have guns. I'm just saying in this capacity, the capacity that we just saw with this Daunte Wright, that's right. I promised to say his name is Wright. Okay, this is not the place for women. Same thing as combat is not the place for women. Okay, how Obama put women into combat roles. That's not the place for women in the military. It's not the place for the streets. Is not the place for women in law enforcement. When I was a private security guard, one of the places I worked, there were police regularly there. After I left that place, it was in the paper, one of the female officers that was regularly there had to shoot a white guy. The guy was white, but she had to shoot him because he was trying to kill her with a rock. Okay? So that's what people don't understand. Deadly force is necessary to protect yourself if you need to use deadly force. So she shot the guy. She then had to quit because it messed her up in the head so badly. Women do not have the mental, most men don't either, but women do not have the mental setup to kill. Okay? This is one of the things that people find with self-defense. When I taught women self-defense, when I taught karate, women will be like, well, I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. Well, you have to hurt somebody if they're aiming at hurting you. This is why women need to be kept as much as possible away from danger. This is the role of women in society, which has been flip-flopped by feminism. Okay? Women do not belong in gunfights with criminals. Women do not belong as fake prostitutes trying to entrap people. Women do not belong on the streets arresting people that are 10 times larger than them, or at least 2 times larger than them. And that's another thing. This woman, this chick that was at the locale where I was a private security guard, a number of times, twice I think to be exact, only twice, she radioed for me to arrest somebody she had to arrest because she was not strong enough or big enough to do it. And this is the thing, all this, and I'm going to get into this when I do a thing on martial arts. All this, well, they're trained to do this and they're trained to restrain that, like they were saying about Chauvin. Chauvin was like half the size of George Floyd. What people don't understand with the women is regardless of the training, and even if they do have the aggression, they don't have the strength, the raw strength necessary to manhandle somebody to the ground and put pressure on their head and neck and what have you, and keep them on the ground. Sometimes men don't if you're dealing with an unusually large suspect. Okay? Even a woman, even a female suspect, a small female suspect, can put up a hell of a struggle. Okay? More so than most women can even deal with. And that's what people aren't understanding about this. Women do not belong on the streets as a police officer, period. And they don't belong in combat. And I could get into the LGBTQIAZPDBZ, whatever the hell it is now, about transgendered officers, but I think it's pretty obvious that a trans individual is too emotionally unstable to have a firearm. I don't think I have to open that whole can of worms up and explain that somebody that doesn't know what gender they are has no business carrying a firearm. Okay? I don't think that I have to break that can open and talk about that nonsense. But not only do they not have business with a firearm, they don't have business as a law enforcement officer with a firearm. Okay? So Daunte Wright, unfortunately, was the victim of affirmative action and feminism. Now, he should not have been trying to resist detainment. He should not have been trying to break away and get back into the car and drive away and all that nonsense. I see that, okay? However, you don't confuse your taser with your actual firearm and pump a shot into him. And if you watch the video, the chick had her gun out. Like, she could see her gun where it was on the body cam. If you look where she had it, she just didn't know. I mean, because she was so worked up because of the situation. Her adrenaline was going so much, and she's a woman, and she's basically hysterical, and boom, she shoots him. What the hell? You know what I mean? And the thing is, as somebody that has been harassed by the police as much as I have, and has had similar issues with female police officers, with chips on their shoulders, okay? That very easily could have been me or anyone else. It didn't just have to be this Daunte Wright guy. This could have been anybody Say you're having a bad day and you raise your voice and she goes to tase you. But instead of the taser, she pulls out her firearm and pumps a couple shots into you because she's a complete brain-dead idiot. Okay? It doesn't have to be this situation. There's many situations in which you can be tased. And like, for example, if I'm having a bad day and I'm quite angry and I start raising my voice because for whatever reason, I'm not controlling the level of my voice, and it's a female officer, which this situation, this imaginary situation, probably would not happen. I would never do this to a female officer. But if it did, it would be reasonable to be tased. It would not be reasonable to be shot. So this scenario could have played out in other scenarios, with her mistaking her firearm for the taser and killing somebody. It didn't have to be this scenario. There's any number of scenarios. Say it was a shoplifter that shoplifted, like, I don't know, a couple bucks worth of merchandise that's running away, and she thinks she has her taser, but she has her gun, and she pumps a couple rounds into a fleeing suspect. This is very possible and plausible. But he is not a victim of a white cop, which technically he is, but let me explain. He is a victim of affirmative action and feminism, as I explained earlier. That's what killed this guy. What killed him is somebody that was put in the field due to two things: radical Marxist feminism and affirmative action, that put this woman in a field with a firearm she had no business handling. That's what this guy's a victim of. He is not a victim of racism. He's a victim of feminism and affirmative action. And people need to understand that.